Hello everybody, good day and welcome to the Little Farmer's Farm with me, Guru Muffinder. Now, I was going to be doing some weeding today, because I do need to get on top of that weeding. I have been keeping on top of it, but there's some more weeding to do. However, the weather has been against us today. It's been peeing down and it's been cold. And the last thing on my mind that I want to do when it's peeing down and cold is be outside in the peeing down cold weather, pulling up weeds. So as an alternative, we've looked at some indoor jobs that we can do. Now the main one this time of year is getting the last of our seedlings off and running. Getting some autumn and winter crops on the go. Now we're all skint at the moment. The global financial situation isn't pleasing to the eye. Either aesthetically or actually. So we're going to go up to Wilco's and see what they've got in and what seeds they've got to get us off and running. You can get seeds at Wilco from 25p. There's a Minecraft war going on in the back if you can hear that. James has got a couple of mates around. But yeah, let's go up to Wilco's and see what we can get from Wilco's. I'm going to be spending under £10 to create enough crops to see us through the autumn months and into winter in the new year.
Ooh, what a clutch.
Stay tuned, guys. Hope you enjoy it. See you in a bit. Well, yeah, just returned from Wilco, and wouldn't you know it, the sun's come out. It's lovely and warm now. I've actually got my t-shirt on. I took my jacket off. I'm in the top polytunnel, Tiki Tunnel 1. Our wonderful trampoline framed Tiki Tunnel. If you were watching My Family Garden the other day, is it Muttley or is it Monty or is it Muttley? I keep calling you Monty, mate. Let me know in the comments below. But yeah, that's where we are, and we've got a pretty good selection. The only thing I couldn't find that I wanted was turnips. I wanted some white turnips and some you know, sort of blushy pink ones as well, but they didn't have any. But I'll show you what we've got for less than £10. As you can hear the pitter-patter of the rain, I opened my mouth too soon, so yeah, it is sowing weather rather than weeding weather. We've got 100 also Japanese onion sets. Now it just says Japanese onions. I'm guessing they're going to be Senshu, because that's the main variety of Japanese overwintering onions. But we've got 100 of them that are going to be put into these cells over here to start them off, and then in about a month's time, once we get the shoots coming and the roots coming, they're going to be planted out into the beds. We've also got 3,100 approximately seeds of these varieties. So if you look there, you've got all the year round lettuce. Yeah, it says there that you can do it up until March, but we're going to give it a whirl, because they're going to be grown indoors, these. Sown indoors. Spinach there. Again, that says July, but we're going to give it a shot. I have got a backup, which is these, but they're coming to the end of it. 2022 is the sowing year for them, so they're going to be a bit hit and miss, those. But those are the Unwinds spinach, Piano F1, so I'm going to use them up. We've also got Kale. Now, Kale, as you can see, they're sow March to May. These are not going to become, I doubt that they'll become full kale plants, but what we're going to be doing is taking them as baby leaves. I'm guessing over the next 6 to 8 weeks we'll be taking baby leaves off these, potentially. So we're not going to get these big, massive leaves that we get outdoors at the beginning of the year, into the mid-year. All the year round cauliflower, we're going to give them a start. Give them a start. These are going to be going into these bigger trays. These sorts of I would guess the 2.5, 3 inch trays that we've got there. I'll measure them actually and see what they are. But I've got a few of them, so I'm going to be starting them in there, and then we're going to be putting these into buckets inside the slug forts, which I'll show you later down the line. We've got slug forts for the bigger brassicas. Same with the pak choi. Similar thing we're going to be doing with the pak choi. I think indoors they're going to be fine. And then we've got the spring onion. March to September, so we're in and same with these pak choi, if you see there. We should be okay, especially indoors in the tiki tunnels. We should be fine with those. But first I've got to prepare a seedling mix. some of the last of the multi-purpose clover there. We're going to prepare a seed mix. So I've got my raddle, I've got my tray. Let's get cracking. Okay, just for clarity, these ones, the lettuce, the spinach and the spring onions, they're going to be going directly sown into the beds inside the polytunnels and also the top greenhouse. The 6mm clear twin wall polycarbonate greenhouse at the top are where these are going to be going. But these we're going to be doing in the cells. Okay, just for a bit of clarity. So you'll probably not be seeing these getting sown today, but you will be getting these and also the onions. Alright, so we've got our raddle, 5mm grid, metal grid raddle. Into that I'm going to be putting the compost, the clover compost, only because we've got the clover compost. So a couple of good double handfuls of that are going to go into that, and then we're going to raddle that down and thin out the compost, slightly thin it out. This takes ages, so I'm only going to show you it the once, but you'll see, as if by magic, all the big lumps and bumps that are inside the compost as it stands at the moment. It'll be filtered out, if you like, and you'll get the thinner mix at the bottom actually coming through to our trays. I might just put one double scoop handful in. It's a bit damp this, it's been outside, inside its bag, sealed in its bag, but it's been outside, so it's been exposed to the weather, and you're getting all that moisture actually getting in the bags, because they've got little tiny perforations in the bags, so you do get that. But I'll raddle all this down and you'll see what we have left. Alright, so just pause you for a minute, because I don't want you getting bored out your minds. Okay, so that's the riddled and raddled mix, but you can see all that there. That's the stuff that hasn't broken down, it's not fully rotted down. Now that doesn't go to waste, but it's about a quarter of the actual compost is like that, and you get that with most. These are all bits of twig and overly fibrous material. Now that doesn't go to waste, that goes out on the plots, but I'm going to put it in this bucket behind me. And that's our actual mix, that's the mix that we're going to be doing the seedlings in. Nice fluffy open mix that. But also into that we're going to be putting the perlite, so I'm going to get a good couple of handfuls of perlite, and that'll again help to open up the mix, let the seedlings spread the roots. I don't put loads in, but I get it so it's around about 20%. I find it's alright, you get about 20% of the perlite. And then as the seedling starts to sprout and send its roots down, it can move around within the growing medium and get itself seated nicely. Perlite does help to retain moisture, regulate moisture too. But you want enough sort of oxygen to be in the soil and air gaps so that the roots will move through as the seedling starts to establish itself. Okay, that's all I do, and it's easy, isn't it? Relatively easy. Now that'll only do probably about one, maybe two of these trays. So there's quite a lot of riddling and raddling and mixing that you've got to do in preparedness for your seedling starts. So I'm going to do probably 3 of those, push it all to the back, and then we can carry on with our seed trays. Okay. Okay. So that mound that we've got at the back there should be enough to do about 4 or 5 of these 12 cell trays that we're going to be putting the onions into. So yeah, I'll do 2 at a time, see how we get on with that. All you do is you get your mix, crumble it over the top, thusly. Tap it down so you know that the cells are actually going to be getting full. You tap it down. Top up where you need to. Top up where you need to. And that tray's fine now. It's ready to rock and roll. So we'll put him to one side. We'll do the same with the other one. Like I say, just tap them down. Tamp them down, whatever you want to call it. Just make sure that the trays are filled, because the roots are going to go and seek out the moisture, which will be at the bottom. The roots will grow inside the cells, and you don't want them to be popping out too much. There's holes at the bottom of these cells underneath. I'll show you one on one that I'm not going to tip out. If you look at that, there are holes in the bottom. So these cells go into watering trays, which I'll show you in a minute, and then the moisture comes up through that, and you sit your little I forget what they're called now, a little onion set, which is an onion that was started last year, and it's actually grown last year. Then they stopped it from growing and they pulled it up, and so they're ready for planting now, if you like, and they'll continue to grow on, hopefully into big fat onions next year. So I'll just put that to one side again there. We're going to have a look at our onions actually now, because I'm going to be checking for any damage or little examples of canker or anything like that on the onions. If I find them, I'll show you, but I'm going to have a look through these now and see what we've got, see if they're all in a decent condition. Okay, so I'll pause you. I don't know if you can make that out, but there's a little divot in that, a little depression in the actual onion there. So I'm going to discard that. I'm a harsh taskmaster, mate. But anything like that, as the onion grows, that might become an issue. It could be an area where disease may get into the onion and cause us problems. So I'm just giving them a good quality control check. I don't care too much about the size, as long as they're not too tiddly. I don't care too much about the size of them. Sometimes the smaller ones do better, and they don't bolt as quickly because they've not grown as much this year. They don't tend to bolt as quickly. These real tiddlers like that, I'm probably going to put to one side, and like things like that. But yeah, it's not all about the size really with these. That one there, that doesn't look too healthy, does it? Don't look too good, that one. So that's going to be going to one side. So yeah, let me just go through these, and I'll do a bit of QC. Discard the ones that I don't favour. Because all in all, I want around 78 onions to be overwintering, to be growing over winter. So we'll see how we get on with that. That's not too bad. Yeah, leave it with me. Okay. So there's 2 dozen large, 2 dozen sort of medium to large, 2 dozen medium, and a dozen small there. Yeah. So that's 48, 60, 72. We've got 72, which will fill 5 trays. Now the other ones that we have here are not going to make the cut because of the, you know, there's issues with them that I don't favour. That one's got a big hole in its bum there. That one, a little hole in its bum. But that can, I think, introduce disease to the plant. So these ones have all been looked at, and there's probably about, I don't think we got 100. I don't think we ended up with 100. I think we ended up with about something like 90, because there's not 28 there. 72. It'll be 72. 36, will it? No, 26. Well, there isn't 26 there. There's about 16. So we ended up getting about 90 onions. 90 onion sets, little onions. But there you go. We've got 72. So that's enough to fill 3 of these. sorry, 5 of these. So we'll crack on with that. I'll get these out of the way. I'm not going to do them as like, these are the big ones, these are the medium, these are the small or whatever. I'm just going to mix them all up and plant them all in, give them all an equal chance. They're all going to be growing in the same sort of area anyway, so we're not experimenting with them as to which bolt first. We're just going to chuck them in and get a mixed bag. So I'll crack on with that, boys and girls. All right, see you in a bit. All right. Now all I do is, we've got the trays here. I'll just make a bit of an indentation with my thumb, just so we're not pushing them in too violently. We put them in bums first, obviously. The bum part is the fat end, that bit. Sometimes you can see little wispy roots coming out the bottom, but we put them bums in first, up to the shoulder. I don't water them from the top because I don't want too much moisture getting around the top. We put them into the watering trays and let the moisture soak up. And we don't overwater them as well, but at this stage, just give them enough to make the soil moist. Moist. I don't think many girls like that word, do they? Moist. For some reason, it doesn't seem to be a popular word. I don't know why. See, look at that one. So that's going to be discarded. That's got issues. And that's one that I missed as I was looking at him. I'll just do these 2 trays because I don't want to bore you to tears watching me. Although some people say it's quite therapeutic. ASMR. I'm planting onion sets today, boys and girls. Onion sets to be grown over winter. These are a Japanese style onion. I believe they are Senshu onions, and they'll grow in the ground over winter, but we're giving them a little start just to get their roots and their shoots up and running. Hope you enjoy the show today. I'm Guru Mafender. That's a made-up name. But I'm not a trickster. I'm not trying to trick you, boys and girls. You can trust the Guru. This is how we do the onions. Bums in, snouts up. All the way. Up to the shoulder. ASMA, or whatever it's called. ASMR. I like watching ASMR, it's good. Yeah. I like the ones with it. There's an optician that does it. What's his name? SRP ASMR. He's good. When you can't sleep, you watch them ASMR things with your earphones in. And jobs are good. Right, boys and girls. Okay, well, that's it. They're all in. That's how they should look. And then we'll put them into the watering trays and then leave them. A bit of a disservice to Wilco there, because what we've got is 7 trays, which comes to considerably more than I was thinking. So 7 10s, 70, plus 14, isn't it? 84, and we've got those left over. So yeah, there was over 100. Over 100 onions. So yeah, nice one, Wilco. I put some mud in my tea there. That was my punishment for slagging Wilco's off, I'm guessing. Right, but there we go, they're all in. They're going to go into the watering trays now, which I'm going to put at the back here. And we'll just leave them to work their magic. You've got to put them in to a certain depth. It's probably about more than 2/3 the way in, so it's just above the shoulder of the onions. Because when the roots start to come out, they tend to push themselves out of the growing medium if you're not careful. So you want the roots to go down, but you don't want them to be forcing your onions up, if you like. So you need to get them sort of seated halfway decent, so they don't do that, so they don't push themselves out of the ground. Alright. And there they are in the watering tray. Now they're not going to get any more water now, I don't think, until they go outside, but it'll soak up through the mix. The roots will go down to seek it out, and the shoots should come up. So in the next sort of 3 or 4 weeks, probably mid-October, they'll be ready for planting out. I'm going to be starting the garlic off soon as well. Now at Wickes they did have some Germador, some pink Germador garlic, but it was just like 2 bulbs, probably get about 15, 16 cloves out of that, and it was £2.50. That's too much. That's too much for me. So I'm going to get them. I'm going to get the shop bought of garlic and do that again this year, because it did all right last year. Didn't do brilliant though, not as well as it did the year before. The shop bought garlic did really, really well. The sort of big white ones that I didn't know the variety of the year before did really, really well, but this last year they didn't tend to. I think it was because we had a very mild winter. They didn't split. We had a couple of splittages, but we didn't get much splittage. That's where the cloves split and become further cloves. We just got like big bulbs, if you like one big bulb of garlic from each one, which isn't what you want. You want a lot more splittage than that. We've still got lots of garlic because we planted quite a bit. We planted about 60 last year, but I'm not paying £2.50 for sort of like 15 cloves. That's too much. Right, let's crack on. Now this is my conference pear tree. As you can see, there's a few on, but when you leave them a little bit too long before you pick them, that happens. An infestation of wasps. Look at them, and flies. So I'm going to get them off. I'll judiciously look at them, see which ones aren't bug bit, and get them off before they all end up like that. Got to be careful of stuff like that. I mean, I've got these need to be sorted. I mean, these apples are rotted on the bloody tree here. Malus domesticus. Right. Alright, we're just about to run out of battery, guys, so I'm going to get cracking. Dwarf green kale, this. 18th of the 9th, 2022. I'm just going to be making some impressions, or depressions, into the ground, into the growing medium, with my Sharpie pen. About ½ centimetre down. Now we're doing 17 of each. We're doing the kale, we're doing the pak choy, and we're doing the all the year round cabbage, or cauliflower, sorry. I'm going to be doing 12 in the little cells. I'm going to be doing 5 in these big cells, just to see what the difference is going to be. So I've took them out of the packet. There's the kale from Wilco. It's a Boro kale. It's a dwarf variety of green curled Boro kale. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the little seeds. They are little tiny seeds, and drop 1 or 2, preferably 1, into each one of those cells as we go along, like this. Just drop them in. I'll be doing all the lot and I'll come back to you. Alright, so I've just done the 17 there, and you get hundreds of these. You get on average you get 150 seeds. So the excess ones I just put back into the packet, fold it over, stick it back into the main packet, and they're going to be ready. I'll put them in a cool dry place, cool dry drawer, and they'll be ready then for next year, for next March. Alright, March to May for sowing them. They're in there now. All I'm going to do is just cover them over. Give them a bit of a cover over, and again they're going to be going in to the bath. I'm not going to water these from above. I'm going to be doing them from below. The compost is already quite moist anyway, so should be fine. I spotted one there with 3 seeds in, and that one's got 2 seeds in, but I'm not fishing them out now. I'll just favour one of them as they pop up and snip off the rest. And that's it. So again, we've got these. We've got the pak choy, there they go in next, and then the cauliflower, all the year round cauliflower. Jobs are good and all labelled up. Catch you in a minute. And there they are. I've just been sneezing my head off. There you go. There's another one. They're in the watering tray. You've got the dwarf kale there, dwarf green curly kale, bora kale, pak choy, Shanghai, cauliflower all the year round, and then oh, flipping heck! And then it ain't the cough that carries you off; it's the coughing that carry you off. In dwarf green kale, pak choy, Shanghai, and cauliflower all the year round. I'm going to see how they're doing there. Oh my word! Because I come out of here, where it's nice and warm, and I've got outside where it's not, to go and get my camera that I was charging up. That's what's caused me to sneeze. Or hay fever, one of the two. But they're going to go in there. That's our cold frame. Excuse me, I should refilm this, but I won't, because I'm on a bit of a strict time scale at the moment. Got stuff to do. So yeah, and that's going to be closed off just while they fire off to help them germinate. So I'll just get this, and carefully, if I can, I'll lower it down. Like that. The reason it's not going down all the way is because of that. I'll set that up. Lovely camera work there. But they're in there, they're going to hopefully fire off in the next sort of 7 to 10 days. And we'll get them coming up. I'll gradually then open that and then acclimatise them to the conditions of outside. So they're going to be hardened off a little bit. But they're not going outside them. They're going to be going into buckets when they're about sort of 4 inches high, 3 to 4 inches high. Those little seedlings, fingers crossed, are going to be going into buckets, and they'll be grown indoors over winter. So they're never going to really leave the tiki tunnel or tiki tunnels. I'm going to batten down the hatches so it keeps as much of the warmth as we possibly can inside the tunnels. These can be lifted during the summer when it gets a bit too hot, and you've got vents there at the back as well. But all around we've got these lifters, these side lifters, window lifters around the base, and that'll let the place vent. These are coming along all right. They're yellowing off all right now. Spaghetti squash from last week. If you caught that last week. But yeah, they're coming off now. They've been in there now for a week. Another week and they'll all be yellow. I faced them up. I faced them green side up because one side was all yellow and the other side wasn't. But yeah, they're going to be fine in here, I think. Give them another week maybe, and then take them home. Get some soups and roasting done with them. So yeah, from a very sneezy Guru Maffinder, remember we love you all, and I'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves and each other, and remember, always keep growing with your heads down. Take care of yourselves, boys and girls. I'll catch you next time. Hopefully I can get one up this week, in the week. Maybe doing a soup or something. Or even pickling some beetroot. I've got tons of beetroot there I need to pick up. Or just show you the apples and pears before I go. And there's a bucket full of apples and pears. And there. That the wasps didn't get. About 20 pears. There's apples at the bottom as well, and there's then 3 big ones at the top. Oh, probably about £15 weight in there. Heavy. Said me that. Now here's a thing as well before I go. Do you remember the volunteer tomato plant that decided to just grow in a bucket outside? And I said it probably won't do anything. Have a look at this. Look at this. I think if we get some decent weather next week, we'll have plenty of tomatoes, won't we? We'll get £1 off that, I bet. Well, perhaps not £1, but we'll get some tomatoes off it. Some of these are already ripe. See what they're like. Nothing wrong with them. In fact, they're lovely. Volunteered itself, that. I didn't plant it. It just started to grow. It must have had a seed in the compost and decided it was going to grow. And it has. It's alright, isn't it, that? Probably one of the best tomatoes I've grown this year, that. Alright, guys and gals. I'm going to take my apples and pears with me home now. There's a load of beetroots as well. I'll get off this plot one of these days, won't I? That's all beetroot. There's tons of beetroot. I mean, I've got probably twice as much again of that we pickled up. But we'll do a pickling episode, I think. If we can fit it in this week. That's something I can do at home, you see. So we'll do that. We'll get a pickling episode done. Some more spaghetti squash down there. We've got the big runner beans up here. The long runner beans. You take them, you take the seeds of them. These seeds, the seeds inside. The beans themselves. And there's loads on. I bet there's about 500 beans there that we can dry out and preserve. And I've got the French beans over there still. So we've got the French beans still coming. Still some spaghetti squash there as well. So we have got stuff to be harvesting over the next few weeks. And maybe a month or so of outdoor harvesting. But I want to, like I say, I'm starting these off now so that we can have some more crops to be eaten further along. We can take them as baby plants and thin them out. When I sow them all into the beds inside the tunnels and the greenhouses, we can just go along and start picking as they're coming through, thinning them out as they're coming through. Right, guys, catch you later on. Take care of yourselves and each other. Bye bye. I've been Goody Maffinder. You've been beautiful, fantastic and fragrant if you're a lady. You've been masculine, virile and forthright if you're a gentleman. And if you've been something in between, you've been something in between. Have a good week. Okay. Catch you later. Bye bye now. Ta-da.